Okay, so this tutorial is for explaining how to pair a register, or POS pairing. You will see this if you get various messages on the middle of the top of the screen during being signed into a shift. And then if you reboot the register at that point and it gets locked out, and you'll see a pair POS button in the middle of the screen. This is just basically how to do that. So we're going to go through that process. It does not say pair POS on the register yet, but we did unpair them. So know that you're going to need access to the register and config client. So this is our back office computer over here, and I've got to the config client sign-in page. So log in with your credentials, which is your first initial last name, and then your password that changes every 90 days. And so once you get logged in, you go up here to security, and then you go down to site security is the choice, and it will ask you for an OTP. There's another tutorial on that in my YouTube channel. So if you don't know how to do that, that will be explained there. So I'm gonna get that OTP. Okay, 6231. Okay, so now that I got that OTP, under site security, you have these options. So the start pairing service, that's what needs to be started before you hit the pair POS button on the register. If you don't start this service within config client, the pair POS button on the register will not work. So once that is done, we'll go through that process. So hang on. Okay, so now we can see this is a Ruby 2 that has the pair POS button. And then I'm going to go over to the C18. Same thing, you got pair POS. So this is what you're going to see if you need to pair the POS and you've rebooted the computer to get rid of the error messages up top. The other thing you may see, and I'll try to include a picture of this in the video, but if you reboot and it gets to like a blank gray screen or majority blank, and it'll say can't connect to IP 127.0.0.1 or something like that, that's just a local IP address, and just reboot it again. You'll get to this screen eventually, as long as everything is plugged in where it should be. So anyway, now to pair POS, I haven't started the service yet, so I want to demonstrate this. If I hit this button now, it's saying cannot start, or please use config client to start the pairing service and try again. So that's basically saying it did not complete successfully, it's not ready to go. You hit OK and you're back to where you were. So, like I was before, I'm going to go back over to config client, site security, like I said, go to start pairing service, and it then says it's started. So once that is started, now you can go back over to the registers, or whatever one you have, if it's just one, hit pair POS, and then it says please wait, and now it wants you to get an OTP. Now, this is very similar to a standard OTP that we get that's just the 4-digit in numbers, but this one is a 6-digit, and it could have a few letters in it as well, as I'll show you on the keypad here. So you can have A through F as well as 0 through 9. So anyway, the way you retrieve that is you're still on the site security on config client, hit retrieve pairing OTP, and then it gives you the OTP right there. That's actually 8 digits now instead of 6. So they changed that on this software version. The other thing too, just to show you on the commander, the OTP is there as well. So you can get it in either spot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that number, 56672C26, 566, I forgot what it was. 72C26. 72C26. Then I hit OK. Whoop. And then it says successfully paired. As soon as I hit the OK button, this register is going to reboot. There's one more step you have to do after this reboots, and I'll show you that once that comes back up. Okay, we're gonna try this on a Ruby 2 because we may still have some of these out there, but Chris pointed out that the OTP may be 6 digits on the Ruby 2 while it's 8 on a C18. So we're gonna find that out. I've started the pairing service. I'm gonna hit pair POS, and there's my OTP request. So then I go back over to this and retrieve pairing OTP, and no, it is still 8 digits, so it's software related. You want to read that to me while I'm over here?
Yeah.
So
09
09
E8
E8
01
01
CF.
CF. Okay, so then we put our OTP in the Ruby 2, hit OK, and successfully paired, hit OK, and it's going to reboot. So same process as a C18. Okay, so now that the registers come back up, the pair POS button has gone away, and you'll see just the standard, C18 touch anywhere on the screen to begin. As you know, if you hit this button, this switches between manned register and self-checkout. The closed lane, I probably explained that, but that basically will display something on the screen that just says register closed or directions on how to get out of that mode, depending on what kind of store you have. Anyway, the last few steps here, once your POS has been paired, should be fine, but this is just to make sure that everything's going to work after the fact. So what you want to do is, with assistant manager credentials or higher, log in with that first. So I'm going to use my own. Okay, and then, oh, whoops. Okay, so now I'm at this screen. I go into non-sales functions. Then I want to go into maintenance. So once I hit maintenance, I probably have more options than you guys do, but you're only looking for 2 things here. Oh, speaking of that, there is also perform POS pairing here. So if you can't get the POS button to show up on the register, this is where you need to go to force that to show up so you can pair the register if needed. Anyway, the first thing you want to do is go to device configuration, and you'll see up here you have pin pad scanner and secondary scanner. Go to scanner configuration, and then you'll see at the top here in the brackets you have 2D scanner for COM2. COM2 is where the scanner is connected on the back of the register. So if that doesn't say 2D and it says Ruby Ready instead up here in the brackets, you want to change that. So we always want to hit 2D. What that does is it enables you to read barcodes and IDs and all that stuff properly. If it's set to Ruby Ready, your scanner will be powered on, but it won't be able to read those things correctly because the configuration is not set. So the second thing we want to do, well, actually go back into this just to make sure that that change has been made. So if it was at Ruby Ready, go back in and make sure that 2D is in there. And then you can just back out by hitting this X, and then go into device control afterwards, and you'll see this screen. These are all your ports on the back of the register. Obviously, we don't use all of them, but they are specific to, they're mapped to say this device is plugged into this port, and it communicates with this baud rate, this voltage if needed, that sort of thing. So they're not interchangeable. You have to come in here and look at this. So as we just saw, the scanner's on COM2. That says COM2 here. It's 9600 baud rate, and this obviously would adjust that. Disconnect, you can see that like COM1, COM5, all those are dimmed out, so those are disconnected. The 12V, what that is, it's basically saying use power on the same cable as well as data. So since the scanner doesn't have a separate plug that we have to provide power to it, it goes through the same cable that the data on the back of this going into COM2 is using. Same thing with the pull display. In some cases on the C18, you'll have the display that's on the back of the actual unit instead of a separate pull display. Like this guy right here, that's a pull display. I don't have another example of the one that's attached on the back, but that's through USB, not a COM port. These are the 4 ports we use. So scanner, pull display, receipt printer, coin dispenser. These settings should be the way they are here because the coin dispenser has its own power supply. You don't need the 12V. All 3 of these that need a baud rate are 9600. The receipt printer, that baud rate is actually I think it's 38600 BPS, but that's higher than it can display here, so that's why it's not showing up. The power is provided for a separate port on the back of the register, so you'll see on the back it shows 12V for printer power and 12V for the DC power, which is the register itself. So it's not going through the same data cable. And yeah, like I said, the baud rate just doesn't display, but it does use it. It's just at a higher rate. So once that's done, you want to hit save, but I haven't made any changes yet. So in order to illuminate or just get that to light up, just change something. It doesn't matter what it is. So I'm going to say, let's make this the check scanner because we're not using that. And now you can see the save button's lit up. So I want to save that. And then now I can disconnect it because we're not using it. The save button is lit up again. So those are the settings we want, even though we didn't change anything. The main reason I want to do that is because from this menu, I want to hit this reboot button. If you don't reboot from this menu, sometimes these settings don't save and things won't work for peripherals. So I want to reboot. And once we reboot from this menu, it will take a bit, as you can see, and there it goes. So once this reboots, you should be good to go. All your peripherals should work and your POS will be paired.